Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Marvel Avengers Iron Man head helmet. It's done in the same size and scale as the Star Wars ones that I've reviewed previously, and interestingly, as described by designer Mark Stafford in the instructions, this is not intended to represent one specific canonical variation of the Iron Man suit and the helmet thereof. It's supposed to kind of draw in visual inspiration from a number of different iconic suits from the MCU as well as the comics. Just at first glance, I'd say this is pretty successful in that way. I mean, you have to be, I'd say, super jaded to look at this and say it doesn't look like Iron Man at all. You know, like it's fine details that are debatable, not the whole thing. The whole thing, you look at it from any kind of distance, Iron Man, it just says Iron Man. The build has a total of 2 stickers, and those are used for the eye details, and anything else that is a decoration is done with prints, including the little plaque down here. The stand is included, and there are actually a handful of surprise printed pieces that I did not expect in any way, shape, or form, and I really appreciate it. I will definitely point those out when they come along. This is fully detailed all the way around the back, or at least fully closed up all the way around the back. A little bit boxy, a little bit squared off just at these corners. Very nice and round around the back. Appreciate the inclusion of the little faux vertebrae there, expandable segments suggested. These are some nice prints for the side. Just bring that up a little bit closer for you so you can see that right there. Yeah, it's a nice piece, one on either side. That's a 3-stud circle. And then the gold stuff is actually done mostly with lacquer coated parts, just fully gold lacquered pieces. There is some variation in the gold there, just between pieces that should be produced in identical ways. For example, the one that stands out most for me is right here, the third from the left of these 1x4 slope pieces. It's not really showing up on camera all that well, but the hue is noticeably different. And there are some variations as we get up into here, but I mean, overall, I think it doesn't look bad. Where we get the most variation, where we get the most obvious differences, though, is when you look at some of these plates. So you've got some 1x2 plates. There's one there, and then coming around the corner here, these are actually both 1x3 plates. So you can see the side of one here, and then you can see the end of another. Those are printed or lacquer tipped, only dark tan pieces. So they actually printed just the edges of those. They didn't do the full drum lacquering where they just put them into the solution and the entire thing gets coated. It's just those edges there that got the extra bit of material added on for a different color. And it doesn't match perfectly, but it's so much better than the options would have been. Just per LEGO's own rules for how things go together, they would not have been able to make those with fully drum lacquered pieces. Just technically would not meet their standards for durability, for parts being assembled and taken apart and everything. So it's just a little bit of luxury, I think, a completely unexpected luxury. A total of 3 different types of specialized side printed little 1x plates, 1x2, 1x3. Everything else that's gold that you see here again is fully drum lacquered, so all the way around. And I think that was a really good decision, because if they had done a substitution for just the molded pearl gold or something, that would not have looked nearly as good as this for many reasons. And then if they had tried to do a non-metallic look, no, that would have been a total failure. Same with the substitutions up here, the pieces that they did print. If they had not printed those, if they had done those with pearl gold, if they had done those with tan, dark tan, it would not have been good at all. You can actually move this as well if you want. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's something a little extra. Too bad you can't do anything with the eyebrows up here to change the expression there. But one thing that you can adjust for posing purposes is right here around the side. And this is the most difficult portion of this, I think, from what I've seen from most people's initial impressions of just the photos. See, these are just attached with Mixel's ball joints so you can articulate them in exactly where they're supposed to be, which is somewhere in this region here. But the jowls just end up looking a little bit chunky. You know, just a little bit too swole in the jowls. It should be a little bit more sleek, I think. I mean, even if there is kind of a chopped off, chiseled, angled there, it's this section right around here that's just a little bit wide. If that could have come down a little bit more and then cut in, would have looked significantly better. But it does not look nearly as bad, that portion of it does not look nearly as bad to me from multiple realistic, real angles in person as it did to me in photographs. So overall, I feel like this is pretty dang well done. It stands out really nicely with that gold. It has a nice shine to it. It's immediately apparent what it's trying to be, even if it's trying to mix together multiple variants. It just says Iron Man. The build was not at all complex. You did have to kind of watch out for these printed pieces. They're a little bit unexpected, just stuff that you don't usually have to worry about. The orientation of a 1x2, you know, do you flip it 180 degrees and get a completely different look? You're not used to that from Lego stuff, but you know, it works out just fine. Makes sense. If you mess it up, it's obvious. And this is a little bit hollow, a little bit more hollow, I'd say, inside than the Star Wars ones were. And I have no problem with that. The base has some interesting colors used underneath. If you look at this from a low angle, unfortunately, you do see the blue pins there. You see some gray. Not the greatest look, but as long as you're like level or higher, it works out. So this looks best as a desk model. If you put it on a high shelf, you may want to come through and do some part substitutions, just a little bit for color, and or add some pieces just to cover some stuff up. But that's about it. Leftover pieces, there were only a handful of them. And like I said, with the stickers, only 2 of those were used. They charge $60, 60, for these things. And this is 480 pieces for this one in particular. Do keep in mind the drum lacquered pieces are worth more than regular ones because they take a lot more to produce. There are far fewer of them out there. You know, it's just more of a premium product when you have those parts. That kind of stuff does matter. But to me personally, that doesn't feel like a good price for this amount of stuff. Just looking at this now in a vacuum, just by itself, thinking of it as a collector item, you know, I'm personally not a Super Marvel fan. I say that all the time. But if I was, and this was something that I wanted, and knowing Lego and the fact that Lego is a fairly expensive product, I honestly would want to spend about $45 for this. I think tops. I think that's about as far as my brain would naturally go. 50 would kind of be pushing it. So 60 definitely feels like it's pushing too far to me, and I would want to see this on sale. It's not a bad thing. It's just a bit more overpriced than I would want to see or I would expect to see, even from Lego as it is today. My personal opinion. And for the amount of stuff, again, just to make sure you have context there next to a human, right? An adult human. That's the size of the thing. It's not huge, but it's not tiny. And with the gold, it really shines. So a good thing overall. The jowls could use some work, could have used some work. But overall, makes a good impression. You know, when you walk in a room, you're going to see it. That's pretty much it for my thoughts on this one. If you want to check out the build, you can see the real-time build or the speed build, and I'll talk to you again soon.